Prime Minister Modi in the USA, rolling coverage right here on News 9. We've been decoding it, peeling it layer by layer. What happened with Tulsi Gabbard, the meeting with NSA Mike Waltz, then Elon Musk, his entire family came in, and now Vivek Ramaswamy. That meeting is expected to take place. But what is going to be on the agenda? What can Indian diaspora in the United States expect? Because they're watching this very closely as Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump, that crucial bilateral is going to take place moments and hours from now. But what we're also picking up is that at the iconic Blair House, which, by the way, is the president's guest house where all the official dignitaries and the invitees stay. This is also where Prime Minister Modi has been lodged. A protest by the Bangladeshi Hindus took place right outside the Blair House in Washington, D.C. And this is just hours before the scheduled meeting between Prime Minister Modi and U.S. President Donald Trump. Now, the protesters gathered to demand the removal of Anti-Yunus, calling for action against him. Some of those exclusive protest shots right there on Pennsylvania Avenue. This is just across the White House. And this is also where the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, has been lodged, holding banners and chanting slogans asking Yunus to step down. Visuals on your screen. Sandeep Unithan, editor, News9 Plus. With us on the broadcast here, Aditya Rajkal, he's going to soon be with us, and all those expert panelists that are continuing to be with us. Lieutenant General Shankar is also with us on the broadcast. We're decoding what it means for Indians back at home, and of course the Indian diaspora when we're looking at the global new global order that's coming to the fore. Sandeep, before I come to you for your thoughts, we've got some reactions as well coming from Pennsylvania Avenue. Let's listen in.
We coming from Bangladesh, for support for Bangladesh. We want justice. We are happy in Bangladesh. Is everybody, a lot of people is killing people, and nobody is security over there. So it's very bad in Bangladesh right now. No, and house. Lot of people is killing now every day, every morning, every night, every second.
Well, Sandeep, you heard the man over there. Of course, very emotive. A lot of sentiments attached to what's been prevailing in Bangladesh over the better part of the last 6 months now, ever since the ouster of Sheikh Hasina. But Anti-Yunus dispensation, many saying we're looking at a different Bangladesh post that August uprising. But now, Blair House, Prime Minister being there, it's an issue that was being raked up at different places, but the significance of Pennsylvania Avenue and a protest being carried out over there.
Kabir, extremely significant, this protest at Pennsylvania Avenue. And let's not forget that it was President Donald Trump who raised the issue of the crackdown on minorities inside Bangladesh in November while he was campaigning for the presidential elections. He actually mentioned the fact that he was deeply concerned with the kind of treatment that was being meted out to minorities in Bangladesh, the Christians, the Hindus, and the Buddhists. And this has unfolded in the last 6 months. Ever since Sheikh Hasina left Bangladesh on the 5th of August, there's been a kind of unofficial, what can I call it, a pogrom against minorities in Bangladesh. Their houses have been targeted, they've been killed even, they've been thrown out, their businesses have been attacked. And this is, this kind of thing has been unleashed against minorities there to say that they are not welcome. And the reason ostensibly is because they are supporters of the Awami League, which is the party that ruled Bangladesh when Sheikh Hasina was there. And of course, you had that very horrifying visual a couple of weeks back, Kabir, of the house of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman being destroyed. And the message to the minorities in Bangladesh seems to be that if we can do this to the father of the nation, that is Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, think what we can do to you. And this is horrifying actually in the last 6 months. And all of this is being presided over by Anti-Yunus. And that is the irony, that a Nobel Prize winning economist who's once tipped as the best man to rule Bangladesh before he ran into difficulties with Sheikh Hasina. And this is the kind of regime that he's been presiding over in the last 6 months, where minorities feel unsafe. And I completely get the sentiment of the people who are protesting out there. They must all have families back home in Bangladesh. who are terrified, who are afraid of their lives, who've been hiding, who cannot voice their opinions freely. And this seems to be the ideal place for them to get the attention which they're rightly being given today morning in Washington, D.C., Kabir.
Right. General Shankar, how about you come in on this as well? Delayed elections, and right from the posters that you see, this is not against, the government. This is, I think, this is targeting the chief advisor, Dr. Yunus itself, and only this is only against Muhammad Yunus. It seems to be he's at the center of this, storm, the center of the Bangladeshi diaspora in the United States and their ire.
Look, the way I look at it, I call what's happening in Bangladesh as unarchy, not anarchy, unarchy, right? Yunus is heading an illegal government because there is no scope in the constitution for this government to continue. Beyond 90 days, it's become illegal, and he wants to carry out reforms. It's not only that the current dispensation or the students or the radicals and the Jamaat have got together to radicalize the nation as a whole. That's the worry. In addition to bringing down Bangabandhu's house, there's a program on called Operation Devil Hunt, where they're completely exterminating, uh, you know, yeah, activist by activist, everyone in the Awami League. They've already uh, arrested over 1,300 people. So they're very clear about what they're doing. And if you see that very anti-India. And so this protest rally happening there is only a natural outflow of what's happening within Bangladesh. And we need to understand we have a problem in Bangladesh. Increasingly, from what happened in the first week of August to now, the country is completely gone anti-India. The sentiment on the street is anti-India and radical by nature. So we have to have a method of how do we deal with Bangladesh. So far, it's now evident that the toppling of Sheikh Hasina, the deep state had a hand in it. That's coming out in black and white almost. Now we need to restore the situation back to normalcy. And for that, I think this is an opportune moment. The India-US relationship and the platform has to have a clear understanding as to how to deal with Bangladesh. What I'd expect is that I'm sure our Prime Minister will take this up with the President because this issue was discussed between the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and Dr. Jaishankar in their first meeting itself. That itself found a resonance in Bangladesh. People in Bangladesh were asking, why are they discussing Bangladesh in their first meeting itself? And from then to now, the situation has gone bad, even worse. So I expect a talk of this. And I think what my expectation is that, or my wish is that, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi come to understanding as to how to deal with Bangladesh. And I the best way to do that is let India be in the forefront of how to handle Bangladesh and normalize the situation there, with USA playing a supportive role, like it happened when the Sri Lanka financial crisis happened. USA gave us the leeway to see through the whole thing and restore the situation. So we have a framework already there. And so I think it's very important that we get into such a framework and we take the whole thing forward. This will also set such a framework and such an action will also set a baseline for India's position in this region, not only in the South Asia or even in the Indian Ocean region as a whole, and will send a strong message to people around, including to Pakistan, because the increasing connect between Pakistan and Bangladesh is is a reason for worry for all of us. The fact that ISI had gone right up to Narangpur team, and the Chinese are now being allowed to operate in Teesta for taming the river and things like that, is not a happy sign for us. and we need to
Coming from
get
Pakistan to
give.
Bangladesh, we're looking at joint military drills between Pakistan and the Bangladeshi army. You're right when you raise all those points as well, and I think we need to add Bangladesh to this long list of issues that we've already spoken about today as well. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to look for some closing comments now because Ramaswamy meeting, it seems, is almost done. Elon Musk is out of the picture now. The meeting is what I'm talking about. You've got NSA Mike Waltz and Tulsi Gabbard, 4 prime meetings that have already taken place. Sandeep, even as we're looking to wrap up this segment, we're learning of the Senate confirming Kennedy, the anti-vaccine supporter, vaccine skeptic, as the health secretary, and Kash Patel. Now, of course, Kash Patel, more of a pro-India voice and face than Kennedy, but needless to say, Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, Kennedy, Mike Waltz, they're all China hawks to start with as well.
Absolutely, Kabir. As I mentioned, that this is possibly the first White House in a long, long time, which is really packed with pro-India and anti-China hawks. And these are not only people of Indian origin; they are also, as you mentioned, Peter Hegseth and all the others who mean well for India, who've spoken out for India in the past. They've had some very pro-India statements as well. And the point that I was making earlier, Kabir, is the fact that what we're seeing in the United States right now is a kind of a reset where you have a significant number of the establishment, the current ruling establishment, which said that the most uh, terrible mistake the United States made in the last 3 years was to allow, firstly, that war in Ukraine to happen, with Russia invading Ukraine 3 years ago, and consequently supplying Ukraine with weapons, allowing that war to continue, and forcing Russia into an alliance of sorts with China. And that is something that a lot of people said they should have avoided. And you have this administration now that has come to power, the Trump administration, which is trying to wean Russia away from China. And this would be one of the biggest resets in recent years. The last such thing I could imagine was in 1972 when Nixon went to China, that historic meeting with Chairman Mao Zedong, where he brought the Chinese onto the US side. China and the Soviet Union had fallen out in 1957. So, in just 12 years' time, you saw the United States taking advantage of this rift, going in and grabbing China out of the Soviet Union's bear hug. And today, more than 50 years later, you're looking at a similar scenario where you have President Trump throwing the gauntlet down and asking President Putin to stop the war in Ukraine, and in return for friendship, peace, and a possible visit to Washington as well, which is what has been promised in the last couple of hours. So you're possibly looking at another huge reset of the kind that we saw in 1972. And the aim of this administration, Kabir, is as you said, they're all China hawks. They know the real threat, the real dragon in the room is China, and they would all want to break away from all these wars in Europe, in West Asia, and focus on that main threat, which for them is China, because China presents a military, a technological, and an economic threat to the United States' dominance of the world in a way that the Soviet Union could never be. The Soviet Union was always a technological superpower. It was a military superpower. It was never an economic powerhouse. It was an economic basket case by the end, and that's the reason the Soviet Union broke up. But China represents a threat that the United States has never faced in a long, long time. You're looking at a country that is, an industrial superpower, a manufacturing powerhouse, and now it is actually being forced into a corner with a resource superpower, a military superpower like the Russian Federation, which is a resource superpower, which has all of the natural resources that Trump has publicly said that he wants from China and Greenland and all of the other countries. The biggest mistake that the United States seems to have made in the last couple of years is to allow this dragon bear hug to take place. And now the focus of this administration, Kabir, and this is what you're going to see in the next couple of months from now, starting from this month, is to get Russia, the Russian Federation, away from this bear hug with China, Kabir.
All right. General Shankar, over to you for your closing comments as well. Mr. Modi, Donald Trump, their warm relationship, we've spoken about it all, and the two leaders have called each other their friends. But Trump has criticized, India for its high tariffs, and India is the biggest source outside of Latin America when we're talking about unauthorized immigrants. Donald Trump calls them aliens. Will this visit now bring the India-US relations to another level, to the next level, or those, teething issues, those lingering problems are likely to continue?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. I go with what Sandeep has said just now, largely. But I'll just put it in a different manner. Everyone says Mr. Trump is transactional and he is looking for profit and things like that. But if you look at it, all his actions have been strategic in nature. And the focus is very clear. The focus is China. China has emerged as a pacing competitor to USA and is threatened US hegemony as no other country has done so far, as Sandeep has brought out. So he's very clear. He's expanding his influence or consolidating his influence on his home front in the Americas, North and South America, Greenland, Canada, Panama, Colombia, all that. His signals are very clear, right? And he's also defusing, out of the three conflicts, two of them, Russia and Gaza. He's already pushed China out of the Middle East. Virtually, their influence is marginal out there. And the only big power, right? The only big power which is stable, which is slated to grow fastest, whose economy is slated to grow fastest with such a huge population and a market is India. So he has to come to India. I mean, let's look at it. They have no doubt about it. I don't think we also have doubt about it. Neither does China have a doubt about it. That's why China is doing its very best to how to break the India-US partnership. So overall, these irritants of tariffs, defense deals, all will be there. But the larger issue of the defense cooperation, if you look at it, everyone says Quad is not militaristic. But have a look at what it has done. The amount of military exercises which India and US have done, and through the Quad platform, has been tremendous.
Quad
In
was also
certain
the first
cases,
meeting, General. Quad was also the first
yeah,
meeting, right on the 21st of January. That was the first meeting. So
first
you're again
meeting, yeah.
right.
And
These may be bargaining chips, but by the end of it, tackling China seems to be one of those prominent points. We're really running out of time here, General. If you could really wrap
right.
up your thoughts.
Yeah, so I think, and the fact that the Quad summit is to be held in India, which is very important. So there's a military aspect to this entire the defense deals. So I have had experience in this one major deal with of the M777. If we are tough, we'll get what we want. We might get it a little late, but we will get what we want. The
All
things like
right, all
tariffs
right.
and
You know
all
what,
will
General?
handle.
We're going to leave it there. This has been a riveting
You're fine.
conversation. General Shankar, Sandeep, many thanks for joining us here and helping us really decode all that there is to decode, from trade, tariffs to immigration to the defense framework. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what that joint, press conference is going to look like. And even as Prime Minister Modi, he's wrapping up his initial visit to the United States.